Greetings, I love iodine. This video is going to discuss why I think consuming whole foods is better than consuming oils. The oils that I'll be discussing in this video are going to be olive oil, avocado oil, and peanut oil. The reason I'm focusing on these three oils is because these are high in monounsaturated fats. Monounsaturated fats are known to be heart healthy, but there needs to use some common sense. If we know that there's monounsaturated fats in these oils, it would follow that there would be monounsaturated fats in the whole foods. So in my opinion, it makes a lot more sense to eat the whole food because you're going to retain the vitamins, the minerals, the fiber, the phytochemicals, and all of the plant lignans and all the other components that we haven't even identified yet. One thing we do need to note is that science is only so advanced. We assume that scientists are so advanced, but that's not true. And if we just look at an example, a few years ago, not that long, maybe 50, 40, 30, 20, they told us margarine was great. It was heart healthy, and we needed to be slathering it all over our stuff, and we needed to throw out our butter, and we need to throw out all the coconuts because the saturated fats were going to kill us. Well, the truth of the matter is, you need saturated fats. Your body will die without it. It is an essential fatty acid. Well, it turns out that the trans fats in the margarine were actually causing greater incidences of heart conditions and inflammatory conditions than butter ever would. So keep those things in mind. They've thrown out that research and now butter is back. Okay, well, let's just take it with a grain of salt. Butter's been around for thousands of years. I think we need to start looking a little more at a bigger picture and taking a look of history. And with that being said, the oils, most of them are new. We're going to start out by talking about soybean oil in a moment, just briefly. But the reason that Dr. Axe's website is here is because this is actually what provoked me to make this video. Even though I'd already done the research years ago and done the comparisons for my personal self, I was engaging with some people on a message board on this video by Dr. Axe called Is Olive Oil Healthy? And it got to be a rather heated debate. There were some people on one side who just, oh my gosh, all oil is bad. And other people on the other side saying, oh my goodness, you need to be pouring olive oil on everything, basically. And if you're not, you're actually doing damage to your health. Well, the truth of the matter is, putting oil on your food is not going to make it healthier. You're better going off with real food, whole foods, and we need fats, absolutely. But get them from the foods. Eat the nuts, eat the seeds, eat the olives, avocados, coconuts, all of those things. So keep those things in mind. I am not promoting a low-fat diet at all. I think we need ample amounts of fat for our body, and I like to consume a lot of it, and it just makes sense. I mean, if we look at the way our body is designed, our brain is actually 60% fat by dry weight, 30% approximately is DHA, which is a form of omega-3 fatty acids. So when you don't have enough fat, your brain isn't going to work as well, let alone your other bodies. We need that to actually provide a lot of the bodily functions. Okay, that being said, I am more in line with the least amount of oil that you can get away with consuming is the best. First off, we're going to look at soybean oil and why absolutely avoid it. We're not going to go into depth. I just want to say that seed oils like soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, they are just toxic. They're toxic for many reasons. Of course, with soy, it has a lot of known problems. Most of it is genetically modified. That goes without saying with corn as well, and also with canola. Canola is also another bad oil that was sold to us as a good oil. I completely disagree, even though I did fall for that one. Anyway, soybean oil, it is a very cheap oil to produce. It is an industrial oil. They have to extract it with a solvent that they use hexane. Hexane, as we're going to see in a moment, is actually derived from petroleum and crude oil. When they use this, they have to use a deodorizer to get the smell out. It's a very industrial labor kind of intensive process. It is not healthy. It destroys anything that may have been good in the actual whole food, and you're left with basically something that is not fit for human consumption in any way, shape, or form as far as I'm concerned. You may disagree, and that is completely fine. I'm not here to debate what your personal beliefs are, because facts are what they are. If you want to consume some petroleum and crude oil, I say more power to you. All right. The thing about fried foods and why they're completely unhealthy, we have to realize that these oils, most of them didn't exist. So our ancestors, and I mean our recent ancestors, they were not deep frying everything. And now you can get deep fried everything. Just go to a carnival and you can see if it can go in a fryer, it's been in that fryer. I mean, you can get pickles, Twinkies, Oreos, ice cream. It just goes on and on and on. Okay, well, we must know something about acrylamides. Acrylamides are formed when foods are fried, and it can also be whenever they're baked, with in an oven. It just depends what it is. But especially through frying, these are formed, the acrylamides, and they're they're formed in high doses in potatoes. So of course that's why they created the GMO potato, because it has a lower acrylamide content. I wouldn't go with a GMO because it has a lower acrylamide, so I could eat my French fries, because I think that GMOs are actually not something that I want to consume. I know many people say that they're safe. Again, we don't have the evidence to show that. There's been evidence to show that it's actually contrary, when we know they genetically modified the soy and the corn and the canola to withstand being sprayed with Roundup, which is also known as glyphosate. And we know that glyphosate, according to the World Health Organization, is a probable carcinogen. It's also been, I think, listed or has been attempted to be listed as such in California as well. Okay, so anyway, when you fry foods, acrylamides are formed. There's been animal studies saying that this actually increases one's risk for cancer. Of course, there hasn't been enough human studies according to cancer.gov, but they still list it as a probable human carcinogen. Okay, that's good enough for me. I will stay away from it. And plus, the truth of the matter is, when I gave up oils and when I gave up fried foods, and every once in a while I'll go to a place, like if I go to the South, I really enjoy fried fish and I'll try it. I feel terrible after I eat it. It tastes so good when I'm eating it, but man, within 15-20 minutes, just gross. Was it worth it? I don't know, maybe. Anyway, but I try not to do it too much, and I limit it as much as possible, and I try to get it from a healthy oil. Anyway, that being said, that just gives a little background on some of the oils. If you're unfamiliar with how they use or how they produce oils with soybean, and why soy is really not that good, considering it's estrogenic, it's really bad for your thyroid. It does disrupt normal thyroid functioning and can lead to causing hypothyroidism, which is low functioning thyroid. A lot of people are suffering from that. I myself was in the past. I don't have any issues with it anymore because I upped my iodine. I got rid of my parasites, which were actually stealing my nutrients, and it was able to get my thyroid working naturally and normally. Anyway, we could all use a little bit of help with respect to the thyroid. At least a lot of us could. Anyway, let's get into looking at the differences between the nutrition of the avocado and the avocado oil. Just going to go through these quickly. This information here is at nutritiondata.self.com. I'll put a link to it in the description. All right, so first off, we have an avocado. The serving that we're going to be looking at is one fruit, and the calories are 227. And the reason we're doing that is because when we look at the oil, we're going to look at an ounce, which is approximately 2 tablespoons, and it's about the same amount of calories. Of course, you don't have to eat a whole avocado. I typically don't. I'm more of a quarter or a half, but I would definitely eat a whole avocado, and I have at times when that was all I had available at someone's house for dinner. They were having foods that I didn't eat, but there was avocados, and I said, yep, there's my dinner with a little bit of salt and pepper, and I was good to go. Anyway, so we have an avocado here. We see that it has 3 grams of protein, and it's also a complete protein as well. And it has vitamin C, has small amounts of calcium, a little bit of A, and a little bit of iron. We also see that it has 9 grams of fiber. Whereas when we go to the oil, it has no fiber, and it's 0 for the top 4. Not very good. And of course, there's no protein. We don't need as much protein as we've been led to believe. We probably only need, depending on what your weight is, anywhere between like 45 to 70 grams a day. That's not that much. That's only about 200 to 300 calories is coming from protein in your diet. So that 30-30-40 diet, doesn't really hold up, that's giving an excessive amount of protein. We'll get more into that later and talk more about the protein requirements for the body and why excess is actually very damaging to one's health. But again, that's another topic. Okay, so we're going to look at the nutrient balance. We have a completeness score for the whole avocado of 47, and we have a 0 for the avocado oil. I know a lot of people are making, not a lot of people, but a few companies rather, are making mayonnaise out of avocado oil and making some dressings out of avocado oil. And while avocado oil is probably better than soybean oil and canola oil and some of the other oils that they're making mayonnaise out of, I still don't think mayonnaise is really a health food. I used to be a big fan of mayonnaise, actually. Embarrassingly, a big fan of Hellmann's. But but I gave it up. So, that's just what it is. And I've even made my own homemade mayonnaise, but I don't recommend it. It's a very hard process. All right, so we have the full amino acid profile. We know that the oils, of course, have 0 protein. And let's look at all the vitamins and nutrients in the whole avocado. Wow. I mean, we have vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin K, 36%. We have thiamine, which is a B vitamin, riboflavin, another B vitamin, niacin, 13%, vitamin B6, 20%, folate, 30%, pantothenic acid, which is also vitamin B12, or B5 rather, not 12. There's no B12 in an avocado. So only B vitamin, not really here. I don't want to say the only B vitamin, because if you do more research, you'll realize there's a lot of B vitamins out there. There's even one called B17, which I don't think is is in the actual avocado. Anyway, pantothenic acid, 20%. We have minerals coming in, small amounts of calcium, but a little here, a little there, it all adds up. But when we look at the oil and it has 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 will always equal 0. So if you're getting a little bit of calcium from an avocado and you're getting some calcium, especially from spinach and other foods, you can definitely meet your daily requirements with with minimal effort, and you don't need to actually consume dairy to do so. All right. So anyway, we have magnesium at 10%, potassium 20. That's a really high number for potassium. That's probably that has to be higher than a banana, even in such. Okay, we have copper at 12%. Copper is very important for your body to function. It's good for your thyroid, and it's also good for your immune system, as is zinc is good for your immune system and also good for other functions, especially for the men out there. We have manganese at 10%. So this is very, very important to think about. And of course, an avocado has 0 cholesterol. All right, this won't take too long on the oils because basically everything is a 0. Now, they don't have any information for the vitamin E and the vitamin K, and I would assume that that is a mistake on this website because I can't see how it would not have any. Usually when it has the little tilde there, it's because there's insufficient data. Yeah, missing or incomplete value. So don't think that it doesn't have any vitamin E or vitamin K. I would have to say that it probably would, because that's usually the only vitamins that actually are carried over in the production of from the foods to the oil. Is those. They are fat soluble and they're very healthy. I mean, obviously, vitamin E is a important nutrient. It's an antioxidant, and vitamin K is good for lots of things, including bone health. Alrighty, so let us look at olives. Okay, now granted, whenever I was looking at this, the best example I could find was these pickled, canned, or bottled green olives. I don't think green olives are necessarily the healthiest. I think the black olives, if you're getting quality olives, that's another key thing. And you probably want to get some that's in a low sodium brine, because you'll see the sodium is just off the chain on this. Anyway, but you can find better options in this. I'm just looking at the nutrients of the olives to the oil. Okay, so we're looking at a serving, the 100 grams. That's actually quite large amount of olives, actually. And I'm not sure you could actually want to eat that many olives. That would have to be many olives, be dealing with, let's see, that's almost 4 ounces of olives. So, usually the bottles of olives are only about 4 or 5 ounces. So you'd be basically consuming a whole bottle or a whole jar. Okay, so anyway, we have some vitamin A, we have a little bit of iron and some calcium, just those big hitters there. And we have some fiber and we have a little bit of protein. Of course, olives are mostly fat, which is why they use them to make the oils. But if we go over to the oil, the olive oil, salad, or cooking, which again, be careful with cooking with olive oil because it has a low smoke point unless it's refined. And if it's refined, it's lost all its nutritional components like the vitamin E and the vitamin K. They would be destroyed. And when you refine an oil, you're dealing with something you're dealing with a seriously processed oil at that point. If you're dealing with a very old school method of an extra virgin olive oil that was grown or produced from olives that were grown organically in an estate, in the pristine areas of California, Spain, or of course any parts of the Mediterranean, and you could get the oil and consume it, and you knew that it was bottled correctly, it was stored at the proper temperature where the risk of rancidity would be completely, negligible. Okay, then that's a big difference between the stuff you're buying on the shelf, which according to Forbes magazine has been shown that the majority of it is actually not even olive oil. It may have some olive oil in it, but they just actually add other oils in it and sell you it labeled as olive oil. So keep those things in mind. Also, if you're buying oils that are in clear containers, then you have the issue of the light will cause them to go rancid. They oxidize. When things oxidize, they produce free radicals, and free radicals actually are carcinogenic, and they do a lot of damage to the cells in your body. Okay, so we have those issues. So if you can get an oil, get it in a dark glass bottle. Don't use plastic. We know that oils break down plastic, so the longer it sits in there, it's breaking down the plastic. You're consuming the plastics. And of course, make sure that you know where you're getting it from and you're getting organic. Now, if you're going to be getting extra virgin olive oil in those cases, you are going to be paying a premium. But I understand a lot of people like it for the taste and for the flavor that it actually adds to their food. That's a very valid point, and I can get that. But it is not a health food. I can see where people would like it for the taste, but one should not convince themselves when the studies that they've done on extra virgin olive oil are comparing that to other oils. Well, yes, extra virgin olive oil, of course, is better than other oils, but that doesn't mean that extra virgin olive oil is necessary for human health or is actually a health food. So, keep in mind with that, and anything in excess is never usually a good idea. Okay, so let's look at the nutrients. We got the completeness score of 25 for the olives, and we have for the olive oil, we have a 5. A little bit of a difference there, I'll go with a higher number. Doesn't have any information on the protein quality of the olives. Doesn't have that much anyway. It has about a gram. But whenever you only need about 45 to 70, depending on your weight and other factors, a gram here, 3 grams there, 5 grams there, it adds up. But you have people encouraging you to eat energy bars and protein bars that are 20 grams in just a bar. Wow. How's your body going to deal with that? That's, again, another topic for another day, but excess protein is not necessary and can damage your kidneys and other areas of your body. Alrighty, so let's look at the olives. We have vitamin A, we have E, there's a little bit of K, a little bit of thiamine. Not as impressive with the olives, of course, as we were dealing with the avocado, but you have some small amounts of the B vitamins represented there. You have a little bit of calcium, some iron, magnesium. Of course, the sodium is because it's soaked in brine, and a little bit of copper and a little bit of selenium. Okay, so let's go back over to the olive oil. Again, we're not getting anything here except for some vitamin E and vitamin K. And again, we were getting the vitamin E from the olives as well. The vitamin K seems to be higher, at least according to this data that we have in front of us. And we have very small trace amounts of sodium and potassium, enough that it's actually registering at a 0%. So those are just things to keep in mind with respect to the olives and the olive oil. Lastly, for this one, we're going to go in and talk about peanuts versus peanut oil. A lot of things are fried in peanut oil, And the reason that they do that is because it does have a high smoke point. But again, fried foods are not healthy. I mean, if you look at people that consume a lot of fried foods, you must ask yourself, are they truly that healthy? I mean, truly, if you look at the nutritional content of a bag of potato chips, well, there really isn't any. They're not, potato chips aren't healthy. I mean, people may enjoy them, and I occasionally put one or two on a sandwich, but that's usually about all I can handle. I've gotten away from them, even though I used to eat them quite frequently. And but you can change your palate and your desires. You just need to explore other possibilities. And if you introduce new foods into your diet, you'll find that, wow, all those things that you didn't even know about will become your favorite foods, and you won't miss the old things. I think that the best thing when you're changing their diet is don't look at it what you're giving up. Increase what you're consuming. So it's like subtraction through addition. So once you consume healthier foods, you'll start craving those, and then you won't want those, and then you'll be satisfied. I have potato chips in my house that I always get samples of, and I always give them away because I can't ever remember that they're here to ever want to eat them. And so, again, I don't miss them at all. So it's not like I'm living my days, and giving up all this food and thinking, oh, yeah, couldn't care less. Anyway, so we have the peanut oil here, and typically I like to look at the food first, but I have it flipped. So let's go over to the peanuts here. So we're looking at an ounce of peanuts, 164 calories. It's a little more than the tablespoon of oil we'll be looking at, but we can do the math in our head to get a good idea of what we're looking at. We have about 7 grams of protein in this serving. I'm a big fan of peanut butter myself, and I go with organic, and I go within a glass. I'm a big fan of, once again, Nut Butter, the company. They have the best peanut butter. I like some other kinds as well. Santa Cruz, they make a nice one as well. It's in a glass jar, and it's pretty readily available. I do recommend getting your nut butters in a glass jar because of course, the oils and the plastics and things like that. And, of course, storing it in the refrigerator once you open it. Okay, anyway, let's get back to what we were doing. It has a little bit of iron, a little bit of calcium, nothing too great, a little bit of fiber. Peanuts are legumes, but they're low in fiber compared to some of the other legumes. Legumes include the pulses. They're known as pulses. We have beans in there as well. If you look at like lentils, they have so much more dietary fiber than peanuts, and they're actually one of the healthiest foods for you, and also one of the healthiest things for the environment as well. Okay, so let's go back to oops, look, I closed that by accident. It'll hopefully bring it back up. Okay, so we're looking at an ounce. This is the 2 tablespoons, so it's more than the ounce, of course, of the peanuts. So what we have is no fiber, no protein, and of course no nutrition. If we look at the completeness scores of the peanuts, we have a 34. Go down and look at some of the nutrients. We have some vitamin E. The niacin is 19%, which is very high. Folate, a little bit of vitamin B5, which is the pantothenic acid. So a little bit of calcium, a little bit of iron, notable amounts of magnesium, phosphorus, small amounts of potassium, and high amounts of manganese, and a little bit of selenium, and a little bit of copper, actually 9%, not bad at all, and 6%. The main thing is we're not comparing peanuts to other foods, we're comparing peanuts to peanut oil, and we'll see what that has. So we have peanut oil. It has vitamin E. That's good. But nothing else. So keep those things in mind. The point of this is not to start a debate about oils. It's just to show that the actual whole foods is much more nutritious. And if we are trying to maximize our food intake to get the most nutritious food, it makes sense to limit or avoid the oils. You're not going to get the nutrients out of there. So pouring olive oil all over your food, the best it's going to do is going to give you a little bit of vitamin E. Well, let's hope that vitamin E isn't actually rancid. Well, it does serve as a preservative, so in those cases, hopefully it would keep the oil from going rancid. But we need to keep those things in mind on how the oil was stored. Was it stored in a tank, made out of metal or who knows what for who knows how long? And then was it put into, containers? Was it shipped on a hot truck? Where did it come from? How, there's a lot of factors between how the olive was grown to it getting in your house that you need to take into consideration. If we're going to be trying to get healthier, which we really need to do, because if we look at all of the indicators in the United States and around the world, we are doing something terribly wrong because people are getting sicker and sicker and sicker. We're not getting healthier. So with all the advancements that are being made in health, well, how come it's not being shown in us? Now, with respect to trauma care and things like that and surgery, those are just amazing. The advancements that they have made are just, in my mind, just amazing, beyond comprehension. But with respect to these lifestyle diseases, we need to take responsibility for ourselves. We can't wait for some magic cure that's going to allow us to eat complete garbage and then we'll be healthy at the same time. Those things are contradictory. They will never occur. And if that's what you're looking for, well, that's on you. Because common sense would tell you that does not work. If you want a healthy mind and if you want to actually have the ability to think and have a brain functioning, good food is absolutely necessary. So go with the things that have higher nutrients. We need them, and that's, our body needs a lot of minerals that aren't listed here, a lot of the trace minerals as well on a daily basis. We have to realize with our soil, they're treating it with NPK, which is nitrogen, potassium. Well, it's phosphorus and potassium if you want to go in the order, because K is potassium. And that's it. So we know we need more, so they just, fertilize the soil with those, and their soils are depleted as far as nutrients, unless you're getting it from an organic farm that's doing things in a proper fashion and making sure that they are producing food in healthy soil. Anyway, I recommend growing your own foods whenever you can. Sprouting is a very easy option as well for people that can't garden because of a lack of space or depending on the growing season. There's lots of little things that we can do every single day to make our lives healthier. So this is just, I want to just point out a few things in this video. Anyway, I hope you have a great one, and thanks for listening. And I will show at the end of this video ways that you can support this channel if you would like. If you don't, the greatest gift you could give me is just getting healthier and, smiling at the next person you see. All right, we need to make the world a little happier and a little more peaceful. All right, thank you again.